I have to say, is of no shock to me, or really anyone who has two brain cells, that things went down in New York the way they did, starting off with, I would say, the New York Republic. Wait, no, hold on. People's Republic of New York falling to the hands of Zohran Mamdani. And we start off, honestly, with this, with Town Hall posting that Hakeem Jeffries has to be losing it as flowers and cards. Man, I can't even read today. They get the one illiterate guy to come in here and do the show. So Hakeem Jeffries has to be losing it as flowers and cards offering condolences are showing up to the front door of his congressional office. Leader Jeffries faced brutal losses to his power center in the Democrat Party last night. That's got to sting. The National Republican Congressional Committee spokesman Mike Marinella reacted with this quote to Hakeem Jeffries' rough night, saying, quote, 3 losses in one night is tough. We wanted so-called leader Jeffries to know our thoughts are with him, his candidates, and whatever remains of his influence in the Democrat Party. And there you go. A nice bouquet for Hakeem Jeffries. And is that a sympathy card? I think that's a sympathy card. Let's zoom in. Oh, you can barely see when you do it like that, but it's either a get well soon card or a condolence card. I think it's a condolence card. I mean, why would you give him a get well soon card? It's pretty much over anyways. And the reason for that is because, well, the roof over the heads of the Democrat Party establishment is collapsing.
Well, New York City matters because the two most exciting left-wing candidates are here, AOC and Mamdani, but also this is the stronghold for the establishment, Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. This is a battle between the establishment and this insurgency, and the roof is collapsing on the Democratic Party establishment tonight. If Mamdani gets a hat trick, 3 out of 3, this is a new era for the Democratic Party, and you can't write off New York City because this is the place where both it's a power center for the establishment and the insurgency, and they're going head to head tonight. And right now, this is no longer a movement. This is a movement and a machine at the same time. And there's just no way to sugarcoat this. If Mamdani pulls off a hat trick, it is a new era in Democratic Party politics.
Well, and if you're a moderate Democrat who's on the election, who's on the ballot this November, Van, I mean, they're all going to get asked about the positions that we're hearing from these other fellow Democrats.
Well, look, I think, from our frontline Democrats will be able to make their case for themselves. I think they'll be able to do okay. We got a lot of national security Democrats in other parts of the country, but this is a big deal tonight. And I think that look, I don't know what you want me to say here. This is a straight up battle between the establishment and the insurgency, and the establishment is getting its butt kicked tonight in New York City.
He's at a loss for words. Van Jones, former Obama advisor, he was a czar at one point. I wonder why that name kind of went away. You don't hear it nearly as much. But Van Jones, typically, he's become a little bit more reasonable in Trump 2.0, but still, I mean, he's one of these people who occasionally has two brain cells put together. He could see the writing on the wall. It's basically over for Hakeem Jeffries and establishment Dems. Zohran Mamdani's endorsed candidates went 3 for 3, a clean sweep in New York State's primaries and federal elections. We have Daria Liza Avila Chevalier. We have Claire Valdez, and then we have Brad Lander. Now, for the purpose of the stream, there's a lot more to work with Daria Liza. I mean, we'll get into her in a little bit, as well as Brad Lander. A lot of different storylines here, and it's just fascinating to see how everyone is reacting. In fact, another member of the Democrat Party, another person who we originally thought was going to, be a radical leftist, impose socialism, turns out to be one of the most sane members of the Senate, and that's John Fetterman. Here he is on Hannity last night.
Yeah, no, I mean, the kind of people that are trying to run out of office. I mean, they're just good traditional kinds of Democrats you would have expected in New York City now, and now this has just become really, it's just been the dancing days of the dirtbag left. You know, with some of these candidates are outrageous. You know, you have candidates, they abolish ICE, abolish the police, abolish the border.
It's more than just the dirtbag left. You know, the dirtbag left was a very terminally online term or phrase that they used to describe basically socialists and communists. And, you know, Fetterman, you know, to his credit, he can at least diagnose the problem. But there's more than just the dirtbag left. I mean, it's straight up communists at this point. There really is no sugarcoating it. But he's not the only one. There are now strategists. This is from Morning Joe on MS. I was about to say MSNBC, MS Now. Look at listen to this strategist. She is almost besides herself because she. I mean, at least she knows that Americans won't accept this, but it almost sounds like New York. It's more of an indictment of New York. Just listen to the clip.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, the bottom line is New York City is not America. And that's what we're seeing play out across the country. Because to your point, Joe,
well,
yes, America, last night in New York, 3 Democratic socialists did prevail in some of these very heavily contested primaries. But at the end of the day, that is not America. Let's not forget, you just mentioned the Mike Lawler race.
Yeah, it's not America. It's a fit. I mean, it's looking like the sort of the beachhead for foreign interests and assets and basically foreign influence of communism. You have Zohran Mamdani, who wasn't an American citizen until about maybe like the mid 2010s, maybe when Obama was in his second term, if I recall correctly, from Uganda. I mean, it's just so rich that America's capitalist hub ends up being ground zero, not only for communism, but basically Islamofascism, which is what we're seeing. And unfortunately, you know, a lot of people are thinking, oh, we need to abandon the cities because there's no way to save them. Spencer Pratt made a very noble and honorable run for the mayoral race in Los Angeles. But sometimes it is a massive machine and it's very difficult to combat. Khanna, though, on the other hand, I need to switch these tabs faster. That's where Larry excels, and I don't. And people are saying that I'm Kevin. No, Kevin. Say hello, Kevin.
Don't worry, guys. I'm still here. Just behind.
Yeah, he's still good. Kevin is. You're looking fresh there, Kevin. I like that mustache. Love that. That's a beautiful mane.
Thank you.
He wants to grow a beard.
I know some people in the chat. I know some people in the chat are a little confused who are just joining us now. But Siraj is a new employee here of Town Hall, and he's filling in for Larry while he's traveling abroad in London. But he'll be back soon. So we appreciate the patience, and a big thank you to Siraj for filling in the show.
Happy to do it. It's an honor to be in Larry's seat for this show and tomorrow's show, and hopefully he has a safe trip. Really, if he's going to be in the UK, he really does have to. I mean, Keir Starmer just resigned. It's actually the perfect time to sort of strike when they're not expecting it, when they're at their weakest. What are they going to do? They're going to appoint a fat lesbian as their next prime minister, as they're slated to do with Andy Burnham. Anyways, let's get back to Khanna. Khanna, who is no stranger to controversy and also has no principles, gets on CNN after the primaries results came in and basically says, socialism, I'm down with that.
But I do believe that this shows 2 things. First, Mamdani is a star. Anyone dismissing him is just naive and out of touch. He is one of the 5 most consequential Democrats in the nation right now, and people should treat him with respect. And the second thing is that the progressive movement is on the ascendancy in the House of Representatives and across the country. And the idea of just saying, oh, this is New York, is just not true. We've been winning in Pennsylvania, in New Jersey, in Michigan, in Maine, and this is really where the energy of the party is.
It's more than just that, Ro. I mean, it is absolutely. It's progressives. That is the blanket term that they use to assign their movement. It's kind of like how people who are pro-abortion say that they're pro-choice because, oh, I want to give women a choice. I'm in favor of giving women a choice. And they use the term, or the derogatory term, to say anti-choice for people who are pro-life. It's all a game of semantics, right? And almost the first thing that communists have done, and I don't know if I could cite this directly of any source, but at least of my understanding, is that they adopt or change the language to fit their own agenda. And so the progressive movement that they claim to champion and think, oh, we're doing this out of compassion for human rights and for human dignity. No, they're just straight up communists. Now, fortunately, he's not the only one. Jemele Hill, who is a former sportscaster, who is actually with, I believe, The Athletic, but she was a co-host of SportsCenter for a handful of years in the late 2000s, maybe early 2010s. I can't exactly remember when she was on that network. Mainly because I didn't watch SportsCenter once it kind of took this weird turn into wokeism. But everyone who is of my age, of my generation, at least who isn't a far leftist or even remotely a communist, at least can remember the good old days of ESPN SportsCenter and its actual focus on sports. But anyways, Jemele Hill taking a dip into the realm of politics on CNN.
They look at him sort of breaking the mold about and imagining things in a different way. And that's what has been missing from the Democratic Party is imagination. They don't have the imagination.
That's Jemele Hill basically saying, Zohran Mamdani, at least he's imaginative. At least he has new ideas. Like, yeah, to his credit, he has ideas, not good ones. In fact, very destructive ideas that only increase the level of government in your life, basically give you zero agency, want to take all of your money, seize your property, basically make it so you have no economic mobility, at least upward mobility. You might have economic mobility downward under Zohran Mamdani's New York City. I mean, yeah, people are fleeing in droves. And, I definitely do not fault them for leaving New York City. But at the same time, if everyone leaves who's actually sane and who actually loves America and actually wants their society to be better and wants economic mobility upward for everyone, or as many people as possible, like you're going to get a disparity, obviously. Like you can't have rich without poor, or you can't have wealth without, poverty. But at the same time, like if everyone leaves, like who's there to save it? There has to be a sort of I hate that they co-opted this term, the Never Trump Republicans with the bulwark, but you have to have a bulwark against it. It's just, it's the pendulum is swinging so far to the left now. The lines are becoming so blurred between what is the Democrat Party of your parents and your grandparents. And well, it's funny because it's almost like it's reverting back to the pre-Civil War days and pre-civil rights days. It's God, what a time to be alive, right? Anyways, here's Cory Booker.
Here, that's insane is that Jemele Hill goes out of her way to say he's like imaginative, as if he's, Mamdani's putting up these new ideas. But Marxism is not new.
No.
It's very old. It's been tried. It's happened so many times in so many societies, and it's been a disaster each and every single time. So to pretend like this is just it might be new to New York City,
right?
But it is not new.
And it's just so wild to have it come out now because, I mean, New York City has always been sort of the economic center of the United States of America, the most powerful country in the world. We are uplifting people out of poverty every single day. And almost entirely this entire system of Marxism, it takes the fault of the individual and shifts it more to the collectivist approach. That's what collectivism is. And when you have with Mamdani's sort of brand of communism, of Marxism, is that the government is taking more of a bigger role here because you're a victim. You're a victim of capitalism. You're a victim of bad policies of corrupt politicians. And don't get me wrong, there have been the corrupt politicians across the board. but that's almost like they want you to sort of acknowledge that. But really, the insurgency is coming from one side. It's pretty much entirely left. The violence is only coming from one side, and it's entirely left. I mean, the fact that they assassinated Charlie Kirk and then people on the left in droves posted videos of themselves or posted on social media of them celebrating his death is just absolutely astonishing to me. I don't know how you could be so devoid of humanity to see literally on camera a man's life be taken, and you think that's a good thing? Really? I mean, like that is we've either been so desensitized to see, you know, the most horrific things online, or we've come to a point where the left has demonized the right so much with calling us Nazis, calling us fascists, to the point that you really have a dehumanization aspect that they don't see us as human. They don't see conservatives. They don't see people who love America as human. And it becomes it's very disillusioning. It's very depressing. But at the same time, like you have to call it out for what it is. And I appreciate what Larry does on his show. He is actually probably one of the only voices who can blend this political analysis and actually make it funny and palatable and not so doom and gloom. Of course, everyone should be mad about what's going on in terms of our political system. But man, the fact that they're just embracing this, they're being spoon-fed, it really just shows you just the level of intelligence that our society has. It's so important to educate yourself, to read, to actually study and use your independent logic and critical thinking, because that's what actually these government schools have taken away from you. They've taken away this sort of, they don't incentivize critical thinking anymore. They want you to basically be spoon-fed what information they're teaching you and regurgitate anything that they want you to on an exam. And it's an institutional epidemic of Marxism. But
speaking of logic and critical thinking,
yeah.
Here's Cory Booker.
Yeah. Here's Cory Booker. God. Also, can I just say, I haven't seen Cory Booker at any pride parades this year, at least. And I'm sure, Kevin, have you spotted him anywhere?
No, not yet. But I'm going to keep attending as many as I can, on the lookout for Cory Booker.
Must be the beard. I mean, his wife. I'm sorry.
Given that, what did you make of your fellow Democratic Senator John Fetterman today when he was asked about these New York primaries? He said the dirtbag left is surging, I believe is how he described it.
Again, for me, if you want to heal a country, you can't be picking fights. I think we need to understand that our party is not homogenous. One of the things that makes the Democratic Party great is it's a big tent party. We need to stay that way. The focus has got to be the November elections.
That's big tent party. So he's okay with the communists and socialists and Marxists basically taking over the Democrat Party. It's because he knows for a fact that the people that are in New York who are supportive of Mamdani, they bleed a lot into New Jersey, the state that he represents in the U.S. Senate. He knows for a fact that if he doesn't change his messaging to be more left, to be more socialist, more communist, he's not gonna stay in the seat for very long. Booker at least is a political animal in that sense. Of course, he's not like the political animal. He still ran for president in 2020 with when I think he was dating Rosario Dawson. Everybody could call that out. Like, of course you're gay. Okay, we just know it, right? You don't have to flaunt Rosario Dawson to us. Okay, we know she's not dating you because she loves you. Okay, maybe that was a low bar, but whatever. Anyways, here's Harry Enton over on CNN basically pointing out to its viewer how popular socialism is compared to the Democrat brand.
socialists.
Well, among Democrats themselves, the Democratic Socialists of America have a higher net favor rating than the Democratic Party does, at least those who are members of Congress. I mean, just take a look here. Dem Socialists of America, plus 17 points. Democrats in Congress, plus 4 points. No wonder that Dem Socialists are getting nominated across the political map in different primaries because, simply put, they are more popular than the Democrats currently in charge.
Okay, I'm just thinking back to when I was sitting here and Zohran Mamdani was sitting there when he was running, and I asked him about capitalism.
Yes.
And he had no problem saying that he had real issues with it. Okay, he wasn't afraid to say it. By the way, he ended up winning. It didn't hurt him. How do Democrats today view socialism compared to capitalism?
There's a reason why it didn't hurt him, and that is simply because this is one of the biggest political changes I've seen during my lifetime. Match up socialism, capitalism among Democrats. You go back 16 years ago, 2010, capitalism and socialism right there, favorable rating, 51%, 50%. Look at it now. Socialism clearly in the lead among Democrats. 66% of them view socialism favorably, just 42% view capitalism favorably. No wonder Mamdani had no problem blasting it.
Which is fascinating because when you look at races coming up in New York, you've got a big one up in the Bronx. And you've got Zohran Mamdani endorsing a Democratic Socialist. Hakeem Jeffries not going with the more traditional incumbent. So there are two big races involving Democratic Socialists coming up in New York that Mamdani's endorsed. Tell us something we don't know.
I'll tell you something you don't know, and that is that the Democratic Socialists are likely to win one of those races, the one down in Brooklyn, going to beat the Brooklyn borough president. You take a look there, look at that, an 81% chance to win in Brooklyn. And in northern Manhattan, at this point, a 52% to knock off an incumbent, Espaillat. Unbelievable.
Yes, Espaillat, long time incumbent with all of the incumbents endorsing him.
That's just look at that. This is so obviously this is before they called the races. Both of those candidates won, Claire Valdez and Daria Eliza Chevalier. But also so did Brad Lander, another Mamdani endorsed candidate who you don't see there because he's that's right, he's Jewish and they don't want to promote him as much. Although he's one of these sort of self-loathing, self-hating Jews that he obviously thinks Israel doesn't have the right to exist. Really need to get into that mindset. I don't understand it, to be so self-hating that it's either for power or you actually truly hate yourself. And at this point, it's one of those things where if you are a Democrat running in America today for a public office, it's almost like the first litmus test is, does Israel have a right to exist? If the answer is no, you can run for office. That's basically the litmus test now. This is New York City thinking about a border dispute happening 6,000 miles away. Has no bearing on the residents of New York City at all. It is a issue that doesn't affect them in the slightest. Does it affect their tax dollars? Yeah, you can make that argument, but there are a lot of taxpayer money that are going to things that we shouldn't be funding. And I'm not going to make an argument here that we shouldn't be protecting Israel. In fact, the Israeli state is the only Western-friendly country in the Middle East. And it just so happens that because Iran has been sort of a hegemonic monster as of late, more and more Gulf countries are starting to come to the side of Israel and the United States. I mean, just look at Saudi Arabia, look at the United Arab Emirates. Even in some regard, Qatar is sort of coming around here. But it's just one of those things where you look at it and you're like, if it's too much for the Gulf states, it might be too much for Americans.